And welcome to the third part of our interview with Joe Howard, a head of WP Buff and Buffs. I have been checking your blog on WP Buffs, and one of your blog posts, you wrote that you are currently working remotely from home. And a lot of people say like, wow, it's so cool. You can work from home. You can actually travel. You can have so much freedom. You can have more motivation. You're getting more productive and so on and so forth. And the list can go on. And people are excited about this idea and everyone wants to work remotely. But is it that good? Do you face any difficulties while working from home, like communication with your team, staying in touch with everything what goes on? Like, how is it for you?
Yes. So working remotely, I love working remotely. I think that the way my personality is and the way that I work, working remotely is the most productive and it makes me the happiest. That being said, there are definitely challenges. I think that people who work more traditional 9-to-5s or work in an office, they think about working remotely and they think about, oh, so your work day is you just get to hang out in your pajamas all day, and you sit with your laptop and a glass of water, and you just kind of work.
Yeah, like this the whole day.
Yeah, and you can like turn on Netflix, and watch a few shows in the middle of the day, and like it's easy, right? But working remotely is and can be, even more difficult than working in an office, because not only are you responsible for the same amount of work, and in my case maybe it's more work because I'm running a company. It's a lot of work, and and then there's, in addition to that, being responsible for all my time. So I'm not in an office like, okay, it's work time now. My whole 24 hours a day I'm responsible for when I need to be working and work to get done. So knowing when to kind of section off when my work happens and when my work isn't happening is also difficult. And staying in touch with the team is, we have internal team chat. We do one-on-ones. I do one-on-ones with my team every 2 weeks. So we touch base on a lot of stuff, but we're in chat every day and sending a lot of emojis and GIFs like traditionally you would think a startup does. We do that. But physically here in my house, I am alone in my house all day. So there is a kind of factor of loneliness. So we do definitely, talk about that as a company and try to always find ways to stay connected so the team can stay connected and so that we can, feel like we are really still part of a team, because that can be difficult in remote situations where that's not prioritized. I do have my dog is hanging out here on the couch, so I have him for company. Marvin.
Oh, cool.
Oh, he's asleep right now. Oh, is he coming up? There he is. Hey, buddy. So I have I have my dog Marvin here to keep me company. He's kind of my co-founder, so but it's nice to have a pet here as well to kind of keep me company.
Well, cool. So I got it. The key to the successful remote work is sending emojis to your team. Thank you for this advice.
Number one.
Number one, the most important one. Also, I know that, actually, I don't know, but I think it might be difficult, like synchronizing your life with your partner, especially if you're married and you're living with someone together. How does it look like? For instance, I'm working from home and I stay at home the whole day. And my, let's say, husband or boyfriend or whatever, he just goes from 9 to 6 at work, and then he gets home and he's thinking, you have been at home the whole day. What were you doing here? You probably were watching Netflix or sending emojis to everyone. Like, does it bring any issues into the relationship, into the personal relationship between the partners? How does it look?
So I think this is super important for people who work remotely, and if you have a spouse who works remotely, to have a good conversation about, because this is definitely something that can be kind of a sticking point and may become an issue in a relationship if the communication isn't clear. One thing that I used to do is I used to be working on WP Buffs all day, and I was just kind of racing through stuff, And at the end of the day, I knew I did a lot of stuff. I knew I had accomplished a lot of things, but I couldn't remember anything I actually did that day because I had just like kind of done mindless work. So I've kind of transitioned away from that to really segmenting my days. And I have this little kind of Pomodoro scheduler right here, so that I don't know if you can see this right here, but I
Oh,
write
yeah.
down like kind of my day of stuff, and I have little 25-minute blocks that I work in. And so at the end of the day, I can really look back and see this is what I did today. And I know that traditionally in marriages, you're supposed to ask, what did you do today? But I think that in this specific situation, it
You
really,
can just show the notebook. I was
yeah,
doing this, I was doing that.
I swear. But to have that kind of conversation, like I'm not just sitting at home watching Netflix all day. Like I had, 2 podcast interviews today. I had a couple sales calls. I was, interacting with my team to fix X, Y, and Z issues in the team. Like these are things that will, are good to talk about so that your spouse knows. I actually wrote a full blog post on the WP Buffs blog about like how you should like what to do when you work remotely, but your significant other doesn't. And then
Yeah,
it talks about a
that's
lot
why.
of this stuff and a lot of
That's why.
travel stuff.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
why I asked this question, because I really like that blog post and I recommend everyone check this out. Probably we will put the link in the description. I'm sure we will do.
Sure.
Because I really like this. And for everyone who is concerned about the issues which they can face working remotely, it's really, really helpful. And also, as I noticed, the people who work remotely can get way more organized and control themselves. Like when I'm working at the office from 9 to 5, I'm not really thinking about what I'm doing. And actually, because I'm sure I should be working, and everything I do at the office is work, even if it's not. But at home, you have to put that line between not working and working yourself. And this is what makes you more organized and makes you better and more productive as a worker. So for some people, I'm sure it depends on the personality, on the character. And some people are able to cope with that, and some people are not. And probably the people who can, they, find some helping things out there, like maybe some apps, maybe some techniques. As you said, Pomodoro, I'm really, really familiar with this technique. I have tried to apply this to my schedule, and it worked for some time, but after a couple of weeks I just thought, well, it's not working, so I'll give up.
And it's not something I do Pomodoro system, but some days I just don't do it because I know I just want to get more stuff done. And it's a lot of it is just getting in that mindset of chunking your time up into deep work areas so that you're only doing one thing at a time. Everyone kind of thinks they can multitask and do a bunch of stuff at one time, but it's really more effective to do deep work on one issue, one at a time. And if you even have that mindset, you could do the Pomodoro system like more formally, like I do sometimes. But again, some days it's just like having that mindset, like, okay, I need to work on one thing at a time. If you can just change that part of your mindset, even without the notebook, that's a win for sure.
Well, yeah, that's great. And I know that some people, they relate multitasking to like doing work, checking their Facebook, watching YouTube, and a bunch of other stuff, like answering when mom is calling, like, hey, mom, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, or cooking dinner at the same time. Like, this is not multitasking, actually.
Yes.
And
I have a lot of blockers on to make sure that those distractions don't happen. So a lot of times when I'm doing work, I'll turn my phone on airplane mode. I have an Chrome extension because I use a Google Chrome browser. It's an extension that blocks Facebook newsfeed, so I can't.
yeah, let's plug this extension.
Yes, exactly. And let's see what else. I have email pause. There's this Gmail app called Boomerang, and it has a secondary feature called email pause, so that it only populates emails in your inbox whenever you want. And I choose to do that twice a day. So I can only ever get emails twice a day. And if it's not those 2 times, I don't see any new emails coming in. So I don't dive into email, trying to answer every email right now. It's just, let's do the work to move the business forward. And then I do emails twice a day, if that. And those things have been super helpful.
Yeah, and if you write an email to Joe, as I did, And actually, if you want, you can also do it. We will put the email of Joe in the description.
Yes, please.
So you can write to him and see when you send him an email, you actually get one back from his address, and it says my email box is paused, and I will get your message like on 11 a.m. or 8 to 5 p.m. Right? So
Exactly.
the sender knows that his email will not be seen until 11 a.m. or 5 p.m. And this is really, really cool because at first you enhance your own productivity because you do not get distracted by those emails. And the second, the sender, the person who wants to get in touch with you, knows why you're not responding right away and when this person can expect the answer from you. It's a really, really cool one, and I want to try it myself. When I'll be getting too much mail, I will be using it definitely.
Yes, please. It's very good. A lot of people think, they hear that I do this and they think like, if I don't answer emails quickly, like, aren't people going to be upset with me, or won't I miss something urgent if it's coming in and I really need to answer it? And I thought that too, and I was a little hesitant to do it. And I've found that I have not had one urgent issue come up that I had to answer that second. And two, I've kind of changed. Oh, my wife's home. This is perfect timing. And two is that I changed people's expectation of when they can reach me, which is huge, because if people expect me to answer an email 5 minutes after they send it, then they're going to expect that moving forward. But if I just set the expectation, hey, I got your email. If it's an emergency, you can call me. But if not, I'll answer it, when my email populates. That's just huge, because it gives me the time to do the things that I need to do to prioritize to move my business forward. And those are the things that are most important to me. Answering one email right now is not super high impact, but like making sure I get my my hiring and payroll system up to date is super important, because that's my paying my employees. So if I have to do one of those things, I'm always going to choose a thing that's going to be higher impact for my business, and that allows me to do that.
That's a cool life hack, and actually really, really like it. I will not say that I haven't heard of this before, but haven't definitely tried. And I believe that everyone who is like snowed under the emails, should do this. So you can like structure your working day better. Also, this is a cool life hack, as I said, and maybe you have some others, like drinking tea while answering email, or whatever.
The tea is more of I'm drinking just some green tea right here, but it's more of a caffeine hack than anything. So I like to have a little bit of caffeine. Usually I love tea, and I drink probably like 10 cups of tea a day. But I'll do like black tea in the morning and green tea in the afternoon, and then like an herbal non-caffeine tea at night. But it's just something I always like to have, kind of a hot drink around, and it just it helps me to kind of stay grounded, I guess.
Great. Maybe
and
do some
my
sports.
NASA cup is one of my favorite ones. So I picked it for this episode.
A little bit of advertisement. Why not? And maybe you do some sports. I know that many people say when you work in front of the computer, at the computer a lot, you get tired really, really fast, and you need something to pump you up, to get you more energy. For some people, it's only tea. For some people, it's tea plus sports. For some people, it's tea plus sports plus whatever else, like going to the club or. What are your ways to get more relaxed after a hard working week?
I think that I definitely like to exercise, and that absolutely helps me to be more productive throughout the rest of the day and just overall. I think I'm a big proponent of kind of the mind body connection. And if your body is working well, your mind will work well. And if your diet's good, then it'll also fuel your mind and your thinking and your brain power. And so I like to try and eat pretty well. And I like going to the gym. I lift weights. So that's kind of my main form of exercise. I used to be a pretty serious soccer player growing up, and so I still dabble a little bit in soccer, but my knees are older than the rest of me, so I only play a little bit now. But that's one thing that really, like, I feel much better right now doing even this, interview right now, because I, got to go to the gym this morning and kind of use some of that energy there. So that's one thing I like to do. I really like to, honestly, what we were talking about before with connecting with your spouse who doesn't work, maybe as either an entrepreneur or just a not remotely. Sterling is kind of my recharge battery. So I think I consider myself the luckiest guy every day, but she definitely helps me to recharge every day. And so having her and being able to relax with her and the dog and the cat is always nice. So
yeah, absolutely. Your family is always the one who will support you in every single situation. So that's great to have someone next to you with who you can relax with.
Yes,
it's really, really great.
And one kind of other small thing is I always like to, and Sterling really likes to travel too, but we always like to have a trip planned in the future. So it's always something to look forward to. If we, for right now, for example, we actually are going out of town this weekend. Here in a couple hours, we're going to go meet some friends and have a kind of out of town weekend. But we always like to have a big plan or a big travel plan coming up as well. We're thinking about doing some traveling through Southeast Asia, and maybe even doing like a trip to Africa and doing a climbing Kilimanjaro, maybe going to South Africa. So having these trips planned in the future gives us something to really work towards and be excited about. And because we really like to travel, having that on the horizon is really beneficial for kind of our mental health, regardless of how hard we're working now, or if I'm really like heads in the business and WP Buff stuff. We both know that, in like 4 months, we have this big, awesome trip coming. So it helps fuel us that way as well.
Okay, thank you for sharing. I heard myself. That's weird. Weird voice. Don't like it.
I know. Sounded good to me.
Thank you for sharing such personal information. And the very last question in the last section of our interview I wanted to ask is, you mentioned that you enjoy hanging out and relaxing with your family, with your wife, with your spouse. And what do you think of the idea of running a business together with your spouse, like having a family business? For instance, if you had your WP Buffs company, but you were making all the decisions and doing the same thing together with your wife. What do you think of that idea? Do you support people who want to work business together with their spouses?
I definitely support it. I think a lot of people in the WordPress space, I go to a lot of WordCamps and WordPress conferences, and I talk to a lot of people who have families and wives and husbands, and a lot of people, a significant amount of people run a business with their spouse, with their husband, with their wife, or with their partner. And I think that it's a great idea. And in all honesty, Sterling is kind of like a consultant for WP Buffs anyway. She talks to me about all sorts of business stuff and like helps me come to decisions that make the most sense. I am a very shoot from the hip kind of guy. So I like to think about problems in my head and kind of come up with a solution and kind of trust my instinct and go and execute on it and make quick decisions. But she's more grounded in the fact that she wants to kind of take a little bit more time to make a little bit more educated of a decision. So there are a few occasions where I probably would have made a mistake had she not helped out. So she's already kind of a consultant for the company. But she's also she's pretty entrepreneurial herself. Although she works a traditional 9-to-5, her role in her company is pretty entrepreneurial. She has a lot of responsibilities where she gets to take a lot of things and run with them. And so, I love the idea of working together with a spouse. Who knows if WP Buffs really takes off? Who knows what'll happen?
Yeah, why not? I also agree that it would be a great idea. And why not try it? Guess everyone who feels like doing business with their spouses should definitely try it. And if the relationship inside the family is great, and if there is understanding inside the family questions,
Mm,
like, you know, which wallpapers to buy, if people can agree on these questions, so they can agree on anything, I believe.
definitely.
Because, wallpapers is a really huge problem. It's a huge issue. You have to
Yes.
think a lot before buying.
Absolutely. And even before, if you're going in business with your partner, it is a big decision. It's not only a big financial decision, but it's a big decision for your relationship. A lot of relationships are good because the both partners get to go do their own job during the day and then come together at night and talk about it and be together outside of work. But if you
Like,
work in a company
yeah, yeah,
together,
yeah. Like
that's
to have,
24/7
I'm sorry,
together.
sorry for interrupting. Just
Oh, no
wanted to
problem.
mention a fair point. Like a lot of people feel like they're having rest from their partner when
Mm-hmm.
they are at work, and then they get home and can hang out together. Like
Yes.
they're not, yeah, their life is not overloaded with their partner. Like they can
Yep.
have rest from them.
And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Everybody needs a recharge from everybody, including the person you love the most in this world. Everybody needs time to recharge. So it's just something to think about very carefully before you go into business with your partner. But I think it's for the right people. I think it's a great decision.
Yeah, and that's it. I guess I'll not be torturing you anymore with this.
No.
with Yeah, with these questions, and I hope that it will be interesting for everyone as it was for me. I got a lot of, great information and life hacks from you, so thank you so much. I
Oh,
got a
no
lot of
problem.
personal use for myself. So maybe I will not even be publishing this. I will just store it somewhere in
Keep
my
it to
archive, and
yourself.
yeah, I will not show it to anyone. And thank you so much, and have a great day. And I hope we can connect soon and talk about your more new projects, like what you're going to be launching in the nearest future. And I hope you're going to be launching a huge project with your wife together, and we can talk about it, and we can talk about some tea and your favorite soccer team. What actually is your favorite soccer team?
Everton. I'm an English Premier League. I watch a lot of English Premier League, so I follow Everton.
Cool. Now I know that. Maybe your WordPress password is like something connected with your favorite soccer team. Who knows?
Oh yeah, don't hack me.
I will try at least. I know too much personal information about you,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
definitely.
Now you got some of those passwords.
And so I think we're going to wrap the thing up. And thank you everyone who was watching this. And see you the next time in any other interview with someone else. I'm not sure with whom yet, but it's going to be someone cool as our today's guest, Joe Howard. Thank you so much, Joe, and I see you very soon.
Anytime.
Bye.
Take care.